Good afternoon, everybody. On this January 6th, Monday, 2025, I got all of your entertainment and pop culture news in one place for your afternoon rush hour ride home. And coming up first, we're going to have breaking news coming out of Canada as Prime Minister Justin Trudeau steps down. I'll share what he had to say. In a big engagement in the celebrity world as Tom Holland and Zendaya are officially heading down the aisle. All right, my spidey senses thought they might be engaged after that rock she wore at the Golden Globes last night. Plus, I'll share what Reality Steve is saying about the new Laura Owens podcast. Spoiler, it's not kind. He has choice opinions that plenty of people share regarding her defense of her provable lies. And new information coming out about Luigi, the suspected assassin. Apparently, he was attending a shooting range while with tourists in Thailand. I'll have all of those stories and so much more coming up next on The Rush. Now, I normally save all the political stuff for the end of the podcast because some people don't like the serious topics that affect our world. But this is breaking news. This came out here today. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau stepping down. Here's what he had to say.
This morning, I advised the Governor General that we need a new session of Parliament. She has granted this request, and the House will now be prorogued until March 24th.
What do these words even mean? Prorogued?
Over the holidays, I've also had a chance to reflect and have had long talks with my family about our future. Throughout the course of my career, any success I have personally achieved has been because of their support and with their encouragement. So last night over dinner, I told my kids about the decision that I'm sharing with you today. I intend to resign as party leader, as Prime Minister, after the party selects its next leader through a robust, nationwide, competitive process.
So there it is. The process for finding a new prime minister begins. If this feels like American Idol, do they audition? How does this work? Do they just elect or appoint? We'll have to see. Either way, I'm sure they will trust the results that come in. So let's move on to another story. Hey, how about some fun? You guys know this. I love sharing stories that come out of Australia. There's just something about the Australian accent that makes me happy. So here is the Australians reporting about a U.S. man who found a long-lost Christmas gift hidden behind a wall. Have a listen to this.
An American man remodeling his childhood home has discovered a long-lost Christmas gift with his name on it. Hidden behind a wall in faded Disney wrapping was a present he was supposed to receive almost half a century ago.
This is inside the wall. And look what I find. That's my Christmas present.
It had fallen down there after his parents stashed their presents in the attic, but his mother had no memory of buying it. He unwrapped it to discover a set of Matchbox Thunderjets model airplanes made in the 1970s.
How crazy is that? Isn't that fun? You know, every once in a while I'll find my Christmas stocking and see there's a little bit of candy left over from the previous year. We love that, right? So I'm starting to wonder if I should be stashing presents in the walls for my kid to, find 50 years from now. All right, well, from a good story to a sad story. I meant to cover this morning, but we just had so many stories going on. Aubrey Plaza, over the weekend, it was revealed her husband actually died. Jeff Baina, dead at 47. He was known for films like Life After Beth and The Little Hours, and he was, of course, Aubrey Plaza's husband. He had died of apparent suicide. I don't know if that's been confirmed. It seems like that's the case. Really sad. She was scheduled to go to the Golden Globes. Of course, missed that hours after her husband's death. She was scheduled to present. So anyhow, very sad stuff. When anyone in their community, has such a tragic issue to deal with like that. So I'd be remiss if I didn't share that. And I hate to kind of bring it all out in the same note, but I had another death story to share. Scientology critic Mike Rinder, dead at 69. He wrote a tell-all book about the religion. If you followed Scientology, I love following it, not because it's a fun thing to follow, but because it's interesting that people could be a part of a cult that really provides no value to anybody else but that cult. As in, there is like, it's one of those, cult is such an overused word, but it's like, they tell you to ostracize yourself from your family, and it's like, it's got every every marking of a cult. And yet they receive tax exemption from the government because they claim to be a religion. So he passed out. He had cancer. And I wanted to share a clip of him. This is kind of just a clip, as a big advocate against Scientology. And having grown up in it, he was kind of with the higher ups. He talked about John Travolta, Tom Cruise. He knew everything about Scientology. So anyway, here's what he had to say. This is from his podcast earlier in 2024.
The big objective of Scientology is to clear the planet, eradicate everybody's reactive mind.
Right.
Well, the ultimate realization that brings about this state of clear in Scientology is the realization that you were just mocking up or creating yourself your reactive mind. That it's not really real. It's just your projection of all this stuff. So it starts out with convincing you that you have a reactive mind, then getting you to pay to get rid of it. And then when you finally reach the point of getting rid of it, the realization is you didn't have one in the first place because it was just created by you.
So look, he did such a good job of, exposing the cult. And of course, still lots of work needs to be done. They're worth billions of dollars, but either way, rest in peace there to Mike Rinder. All right, let's move along. Here's an interesting story coming out of the Golden Globes, which is we have a acceptance speech by a director. And he actually alludes to Justin Baldoni. As you guys know, with the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni, feud that's out there, she wanted editing. She wanted to help with the editing or have her version of the movie versus Justin Baldoni's movie. He was the director. In most cases, the director gets their quote unquote director's cut, but also the producers get a say of how the movie shapes up. Well, here during the acceptance speak, it looks as though they were speaking up on behalf of Justin Baldoni and why directors should get the final say. It was kind of interesting because I don't know, they weren't using any words. There was such like an inside baseball part of the speech, but let's have a listen.
My producers. I'll be brief because I've kind of already said what I had to say. I just want to leave everyone with something to think about. Final cut tie break goes to the director.
This is so inside baseball, but hey, this is an important conversation. And by the way, every movie's different. Some movies, the director gets the final cut if he's like a well-known director. Like I'm sure Scorsese gets final cut. Other movies, if it's a new director, the producers will get the final say.
That's sort of a controversial statement. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be controversial at all. I was told that this film was undistributable. I was told that no one would come out and see it. I was told the film wouldn't work. And I'm not, I don't resent that. But I want to use this as an opportunity to lift up when, filmmakers, all of my, not just fellow nominees, but all the extraordinary directors in this room. Films don't exist without the filmmakers.
And of course, so this was for the movie The Brutalist. It did receive a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is very high. And look, yeah, sometimes there's too many cooks in the kitchen. Too many people want to give notes. And very often the filmmaker just things get muddled down when they have too many notes. But sometimes a filmmaker's too close to the vision. So it can be helpful to get notes, but also know when to throw them out. Isn't that a good metaphor for life? Know when to take a note and know when to reject it. We'll be back with more right after this. Well, it was rumored that there might be an engagement due to Zendaya's giant rock on her left hand at the Golden Globes. And now TMZ reports that she actually is engaged to Tom Holland. I don't know. Maybe I'm too old to know who these people are, or I just haven't watched Euphoria or the latest Spider-Man movies. My Spider-Man will always be that other guy. How many Spider-Mans are there, right? Either way, they're engaged. Sources close to the couple tell TMZ the Spider-Man star popped the question between Christmas and New Year's, dropping to one knee in a very intimate setting in one of Zendaya's family homes. Oh, one of her family homes. Oh, how nice. Got so many family homes there. So she showed off the massive engagement ring, and now we're finding out that he got permission from Zendaya's dad months before popping the question. Hey, you got to get permission beforehand. I personally only asked for permission right before I was going to propose because I didn't want there to be rumors that I was going to propose and the ring didn't come in. So I was actually in Thailand on a tiny island trying to make a long distance phone call being like, can I marry your daughter? I knew they were going to say yes. They were like, please take her. Either way, I got to tell you something. There is no stress like a guy calling his loved one's father and parents to ask for the hand in marriage. It's a very archaic tradition, but hey, it's a ton of respect to do and all of that. Okay, so here's an interesting story, an update on the Luigi Mangion, allegations that he is the killer, the assassin in the healthcare CEO's murder from last month. Well, it turns out he was traveling in Thailand on vacation months before the shooting, and he went to the gun range, so says people that were traveling with him. Let's have a listen.
Looking back, that now kind of makes the light bulb go off on what he is alleged to have done.
From what we can say, he went to a shooting range in Thailand. That's something we can tell. The day we went to the beach, he was at the shooting range before that.
Tell me what he said about it.
It was expensive. Yeah. That's what he told us.
He talked to you about a book by an author in India. Did he talk about that?
He told us he financed the book and bought 400 copies of it, which is pretty abnormal to do that, but he bought them online, so he more supported the author. And he told us that he printed a copy of the book, made his annotations on the book, and met the guy in India. We obviously was why are you buying 400 books? Who does that?
So clearly by this interview, they're looking for motivations behind Luigi. Was he this crazy guy? And you know what? Maybe in some ways he was crazy enough to pull off what he pulled off, that being the assassination in cold blood of a healthcare CEO. But with that said, I can't imagine these people, I'm assuming, what do they sound, Dutch? I don't really know where they're from, German. I'm assuming the people that are being interviewed here don't understand exactly what the healthcare situation is like here, which, look, I get it. It's not justifying what Luigi allegedly did. It just goes to show how tragic it is. And actually, speaking of the tragedy of the healthcare system, on today's live stream on the YouTube, we talked about the GoFundMe grift or scam, whatever you want to call it, happening with the Owens family, how they're raising $100,000 for a guy who's made millions of dollars in his life, versus we had a member of our community come on the show, Jill, who's got stage 4 breast cancer, and she's just trying to pay her bills. She has good health insurance, and even with good health insurance, it's still draining. It's she's got a 6-year-old daughter and, barely is getting by. So we, of course, are promoting Jill's GoFundMe in the description and comment section of this video if you guys want to help support somebody who can actually use the help. It's an archaic system. I mean, we talk about everyone's so afraid of our country becoming socialist, and yet we have to socialize all of our GoFundMes to our healthcare needs. It's just absolutely bananas, if you ask me. But hey, what can you do about it? Well, you can continue to speak up and share the news, and this story is going to be going on for a long time. So we'll have to see if there's any sort of movement within the framework of what we can tolerate here in the United States. And I think, if you ask me, we're done. We're over it. We're literally just done discussing this, and we're ready for action. All right, well, hey, we got to pay the bills here, and I'm very excited to talk about today's sponsor of the Rush Hour podcast. It's all about fresh starts in the new year, and it's a great time to swap out the skincare products weighing your skin down in favor of a regimen scientifically proven to transform your skin at the cellular level, something today's sponsor, OneSkin, knows all about. I got the product right here. I've been using it for a few weeks. They sent it to me. It's actually been quite nice. I mean, you know me, I'm 39 years old. I could use a little eye cream. Their products are powered by OS1, a proprietary peptide scientifically proven to switch off the aging, dysfunctional cells that cause lines, wrinkles, and thinning skin. Ready to detox your routine, improve your skin health, and look your best? Head over to oneskin.co. Use code RUSHHOUR at checkout for an exclusive 15% off your first purchase. Founded and led by an all-women team of skin longevity scientists, OneSkin is redefining the aging process with their proprietary OS1 peptide, the first ingredient proven to help skin look, feel, and behave like its younger self. Get 15% off with code RUSHHOUR at oneskin.co. That's 15% off oneskin.co with code RUSHHOUR. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support the show. Tell them we sent you. Invest in your health and longevity of your skin with OneSkin. Your future self will thank you. How about that ad read? All right. Well, we talked about Luigi, and how about this? I mean, this is a story that's kind of been cleared up, but Amazon reverses their time off denial for employee injured in the New Orleans attack. That's right. An employee got injured. She was shot in the foot and hit by the attacker's vehicle. And initially, when she needed to get time off, she's like, hey, by the way, remember that big attack we saw across the country? I got hit. I got shot in the foot. They rejected her initial time off. Now they're reversing it, and they blame the error, I guess. They're blaming the error on like technology. Oh, like it wasn't meant to be. She was hospitalized after being shot and struck in the foot, and Amazon initially denied her claim for leave. The company reversed its decision. They published their reversal, explaining that it was due to an error in the time off request. This is the problem that exists. In these corporations, if you want time off, they're going to reject it up front. If you need health care and health insurance, they're going to reject it up front. If you need to call somebody to get through to the veterans organizations, they're going to tell you to call back later. They're going to shuffle you, go to somebody else. They're going to do everything they can to not get a human on the line, not resolve your issue, hoping that it just goes away. And then sadly, it takes the news reporting on something to get the right thing done. I mean, it's absolutely atrocious what's going on out there with not just the healthcare system, but how technology is being used to make rich people richer, period. The people that can afford to put the policies in place, the fulfillment centers of Amazon, the automated tech support that's not there to help you, all these different systems, we covered it this morning, the new congestion fee happening in the tolls at New York. These are just ways to use technology to keep maximizing profits for the powers that be. It's absolutely ridiculous out there. Well, I got a couple more stories to get to. Let's do this. Let's go to what Reality Steve had to say regarding the story where Laura Owens is launching her new podcast. That's right, Laura Owens, the scammer. I think I can call her that, right? Because she lied to me. If someone lies to me, you can call them a scammer, right? I'm just wondering. I don't want her to sue me. She's a scam artist. In the sense that she lied to me, pretending to be a certain level of pregnancy that was completely false. She changed her medical records. Well, now she's got a podcast coming out, and we love when Reality Steve, good friend of the program, chimes in. He likes to just come in every once in a while and dunk. And here he is dunking on Laura, who released a 3-minute trailer for, I haven't watched it because I don't want to throw up my lunch. But she released a 3-minute trailer regarding her new podcast.
His blog. And it's also, I believe, on one of his YouTube channels, or one of his YouTube shows that he put out. You're hitching your wagon to this guy, and all he's done is given you a bunch of L's.
So Steve is talking about Baby Jingy, the lawyer that's representing Laura, and how she, got this lawyer, and everything's, she's lost everything she could possibly lose since he showed up. She couldn't have done any worse if she did not have a lawyer.
So I find that comical. You guys are so hung up, and I say you guys because it's your lawyer mostly that just has the biggest hard-on in the world for Judge Mata and thinks that she is biased and think that she was all into the Bachelor world and just ruled in favor of Clayton because she's a Bachelor fan and her dad sat in the overflow room and her sister follows Clayton on Instagram. Congratulations. If that's what you're hitching your wagon to and that's what you think is going to overturn the ruling against you from the trial on June 10th, good luck. And then here's something else that she ended her podcast teaser trailer with. The podcast is not just about my story, though. It's about reclaiming all the stories that have been stolen, twisted, or misrepresented. It's talking to people who have faced judgment, lies, and cruelty. I actually like that basis for a podcast. I think that's an excellent forum.
Yeah, imagine that, a podcast about people that were wrongfully who's she going to have as guests? Her own victims?
For a podcast. And if Laura is going to be the one to talk to these people, by all means, she has every right to do it. And here's where my advice comes in, Laura. Here's what I want you to do.
Oh boy.
You want to have people on that can reclaim their stories.
Oh, is he going to go there?
Their stories have been stolen and twisted and misrepresented. You want to talk to people who have faced judgment, lies, and cruelty. Here's what you do. Free advice from podcaster Reality Steve. Here you go.
I haven't listened to this before.
It's me and you, talking to me and you here. I can book you your first 3 guests. I'll give them to you.
Who was it, Steve?
All right. Here's who your first 3 guests, because they fit that description exactly.
Mike, Greg, and Clayton?
Mike Maricini, Greg Gillespie, Clayton Eckert.
Oh, my gosh.
There you go.
There it is, folks. I promise I didn't listen to this beforehand. Oh, how funny, Steve. Good stuff. You can go listen to Steve's full episode. He does it every day. We love having Steve just dunk on her. Oh, yeah. I want to have people on to reclaim their stories. Meanwhile, you've got Clayton being like, hello. Yeah. Who else do you want? Sean, the Native American that was ripped off. You could have Victim Zero, Matt. I mean, you could throw me on there, Greg Woodnick. You could have the other lawyers that she filed bar complaints against after ditching them. I mean, it's a real... she's going to be all lined up season 1. You got them all. All right, look, we got a couple more stories to get to. We'll be back with more right after this. Oh, funny stuff. That made my day. Great minds do think alike. Well, my mind isn't great enough to know how to pronounce Zendaya. Is it Zendaya? Was I saying Zendaya and it's Zendaya? Tomato. Clearly, I'm not in the know here. How about this story? A husband of Senator Deb Fischer, Republican out of Nebraska, refused to shake the vice president's hand during his wife's swearing-in ceremony. You want to talk about cringeworthy? Watch this moment here. Good golly.
Congratulations. Thank you.
All right, so that's Kamala Harris shaking the new senator's hand. She shakes her hand, women supporting women, and then Kamala goes to shake her husband's hand. Who the hell is this guy? And he refuses.
For your work. Thank you. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Oh, and he goes, thank you, and he puts his head down. What a twerp this guy is. This is the type of stuff that's sickening to me. You know what I mean? Like, look, this is respect where it's due. Regardless of what you think of Joe Biden, he went to a rally in front of a bunch of MAGA people and put on a MAGA hat just to joke around with them. When they were coming after him, he just said, you know what? We're all here to support the country. And then you have what I'm assuming is the pinnacle day for this lady, Senator Deb Fischer, right? She's elected as a Republican senator. This is a big deal. And her husband can't even shake Kamala's hand. Well, what will the boys think of me at morning, biscuits at McDonald's? Oh boy, I can't let the shuffleboard community or the pickleball community is going to own me if I shake the vice president's hand. Good grief. Grow a pair. What a loser. All right, well, let's end on a fun story. Or maybe it's not fun. I don't know. Here's Tyreek Hill. He plays for the Dolphins. He's very talented. I mean, I know he's got a lot of other problems. But he spoke about his future with the Dolphins after their season came to an end. Here's what he had to say.
This is my first time. I haven't been in the playoffs, man. So, I mean, for me, like I said, man, I just got to do what's best for me and my family, dog. If that's here, or if that's wherever the case may be, man, I'm finna open that door for myself, dog. As I'm opening the door, like I'm out, bro. you know. So it was great playing here, but
I mean, you thinking about leaving here?
if it is, hey, if
the guy goes, "You thinking about leaving here?" And he's like, "Yeah, I think so." I mean, he's the player that got pulled over by the cops there? Look, I mean, what are you going to do? Keep someone who doesn't want to work there? You know, trade him for whatever you can get and send him to somebody else. On one end, you know, it's like, dude, you signed the contract, live or die by your team, try your hardest. By all means, try your hardest. But on the other hand, you're not, you know, the average NFL football career is 3 years. You might get 8 years, 6 years. You don't get many years before you go from being the best to average. I mean, that's how tight the league is, right? So it's like, look, I understand if you have the leverage to work your way off of a losing team, why not? As a fan of the New England Patriots, I wish I could work my way off a losing team, but I'm stuck with them, baby. All right, that's going to do it for us. We had a lot of content here today, a lot of good stuff, interesting stories going on, and we'll be back in the morning as we are every day, twice a day. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Make sure to share us with a friend, leave a comment. It helps the algorithm. And if you're listening on podcast, by all means, leave us a nice chirpy 5-star review, and it'll help support us in the community. All right, thank you guys so much. We'll catch you in the morning. I'm Dave Neal. This is The Rush.